are having problems in the negotiations, stadium negotiations with the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. That much was obvious in an obvious puff piece. It was clear in an obvious puff piece that appeared Tuesday in the Sheldon Adeson-owned Las Vegas Review-Journal. While the intent of the, while the intent, I'm reading this as I say this to you, while the intent, while the intent was to send a message that all was well with the talks, the work as written had the opposite effect. Consider that the author cherry-picked a quote from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas President Len Jessup, where the Prez said about the recent news of UNLV playing Cal, quote, "They literally want to be the first game in the stadium. We didn't get those kinds of offers from Pac-12 schools for Sam Boyd Stadium. That's a function of the new stadium." And let's not forget that the UNLV Cal series is going to happen with or without a new stadium. Just a reminder, okay? The rest of the article was a real nothing burger. Here's why, and it can be summed up in this statement from Jessup, all right? Everybody's busy. They've got so many other things they need to get done, and they're in the middle of a season, and they're managing a team and negotiating contracts. I think it's just that there's a lot of work to be done here in a short amount of time. I really don't want to say what specifically are the remaining items because I don't think that'll be fair to anybody involved in the negotiation on this thing at this point. I also have to say that once we're done with this part of the process, we're not done because ultimately it would then go to our regents. Tom Riley has committed to the regents that this would be a two-step fashion. One meeting where we would report out on everything, and then we get to digest it and react to it, and then they get a little bit of time, and then we come back in a second meeting with any revisions that are necessary to be able to vote on it. Look, here's the facts, okay? UNLV and the Oakland Raiders have been working on this Las Vegas Stadium project since Mark Bourdain visited Jessup in late January of 2016. And he did so behind the collective back of the city of Oakland and the county of Alameda. That is 670 days elapsed time. 670 days elapsed time. And I might add counting, folks, and counting, okay? Come January 28th, 2017, that will be 2 full years. 2 full years of talks, all right? The problem is not hard to see for anyone who has experienced in this area. UNLV is asking the thorny question of can the university afford a $1 million or more annual payment to the Oakland Raiders to use the stadium, considering the athletic department is running a deficit as this is written. Look at what Temple University is paying the Philadelphia Eagles to use Lincoln Financial Stadium. It's $1 million, and that's said to be the Raiders model, okay? And now there's word the Eagles want to push that cost to $2 million a year, okay? And that's something that UNLV is not equipped to afford, all right, at all. And UNLV has to be weighing that situation with the option of doing nothing with the Raiders, visiting Nevada Governor Brian Sandoval, and asking for the right to take over the stadium project, which is allowed by the Southern Nevada Tourism and Investment Act. And once they take that over, they have to come up with $200 million, which any number of UNLV backers would be very happy to put up on behalf of the university, and they would move forward with the stadium on their own. Okay, that's it. In fact, you know, one of those backers, Sheldon Adelson. So that is the real situation. Some of you have contacted me about the article that appeared in Tuesday's Las Vegas Review Journal, and I have to say, a momentary aside, my condolences on the mini stroke of the legendary Robin Leach. But so I thank you all for informing me of the existence of that article. I don't normally respond to it in this way, but I felt it necessary to clean up a little mess there, because it was a puff piece, and it was clearly done to send the message that, hey folks, this thing is still out there and it's still alive, and regardless of what anybody else says, everything's just fine. To which I want to say this, okay? Just because parties are getting along doesn't mean negotiations are going along as they want them to. They're professionals, okay? And professional adults can sit down and disagree on a deal, and one party can decide to walk away from it. And look, the way this deal is structured, for a number of reasons, if the Raiders are honest with themselves, they'll figure out every way they can to walk away from it. And if UNLV is honest with its collective self, it will figure out every reason to walk away from it. It's not a good deal. And the reason it isn't is, again, from the Raiders' perspective, they have to cough up $1 billion in total costs that they don't have to spend in Oakland. A. B, they have to, UNLV, for its part, is staring at a scenario where it's going to have to pay, unless the Raiders decide to get religion and become really generous, a $1 million amount of money annually to the Raiders in what are called game day costs total, okay? And then fear whether or not they're actually going to get that back. For example, UNLV is allowed to sell its own PSLs, but they have no precedent for anybody in their alumni base paying that, separate from the Raiders, okay? So UNLV is staring at a situation where they could go perennially broke. And for what? To say that they have a glamorous stadium that, in point of fact, really isn't theirs, that has more Raider markings than their own? It's not a good situation for UNLV. So if you look at it from both, it's not cool. It just doesn't come up at all, well at all. And now I'll go to the live stream and I will take your comments. This is abbreviated because I've got to wake up earlier in the morning and go to the airport. But so this is abbreviated. And I know there's other issues out there, like, for example, and other things to talk about, like, for example, Eli Manning and his being benched, which gives the Raiders a gift, right? But I wanted to really get this out there and discuss it, you know. That was my objective here. So I say hello. Now, I will get to your comments. Good evening. Hi, Ed Reed. And Crawford says, getting along doesn't mean squat. Negotiations are a different animal. Yep. And Crawford says, LeBron got ejected tonight. Ooh, what's going on tonight? Ed Reed says, shaky, 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 Zen. Lock group attack. Keep up the good work, Zen. Pace deals always fall apart. Yep. Otis, thank you for the compliment, by the way. Sorry about the connection deal. I don't quite know what's going on, but yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, I know the Crabtree suspension was reduced 1 game as well. And let's see here. Steve Macy says, first time in his career. Yep, that's right. That's right, first time in his career. So what I'm going to do is, it is 12:11, and given the fact that I have to get up, this went from 12 to 21 like that. Hello everybody, welcome to Zenny62. I am talking about the impasse between the Raiders and UNLV regarding the stadium situation. This is not going to be a long live stream by any stretch of the imagination because of the fact that I've got to go to bed and get up and drive to the airport in the morning. So, but I wanted to make sure that this was out there, and also want to get your comments, for example, on such things as not just this news about UNLV. Still, UNLV and the Raiders have been at this for 670 days. Okay, 670 days. And I'm going to tweet this out right now. In total, and again, by January 28th of 2018, that will be 2 years. Okay, that will be straight out 2 years of talks. 2 years. So it's difficult to really be optimistic when you've spent that much time trying to hash out something. If it doesn't work, it just doesn't work. And this has all the signs of something that just doesn't work. That's just the fact. Just the fact of the matter. Now, that doesn't mean they'll stop. That doesn't mean they won't figure out a way to move forward, but all the signs point to a scenario where UNLV takes over the stadium. And consider what Jessup said. He said that, and I quote here, all right? And I quote that. I quote here. He said, and I quote, that, and I'm trying to find the quote. Oh, he said, this is what the president says, okay? The president. Hey, Chris Zamora, how are you? Welcome. How are you doing? Chris Zamora, great person. Had me as the guest up to Raiders training camp. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And yeah, Raider Kuko, I'm going to talk about that tomorrow night in more in depth, only because I would do it tonight, but save for my own schedule. But the Giants committed football Harry Carey and basically gave the Raiders, I would argue they gave the Raiders a victory, because this benching is not something that winner does. It just isn't. And I was there when Eli Manning came back to beat the New England Patriots in 2008 at the Super Bowl in Phoenix, Arizona, one of the best Super Bowls ever played. You don't treat someone like Eli Manning like that, and I don't think Ben McAdoo made this decision. I think that came from ownership and the general manager, and they're looking at and already preparing for next year. But what a horrible way to do it, you know? It just wasn't the right way to do it. And anyway, getting back to what UNLV President Len Jessup said, he says, everybody's busy. He's talking about the Raiders. Listen to this. This is the UNLV president. Everybody's busy. They've got so many other things they need to get done. And they're in the middle of a season, and they're managing a team and negotiating contracts, or renegotiating contracts. I think it's just that there's a lot of work to be done here in a short amount of time. I really don't want to say what's specifically on the meeting items, because I don't think that'd be fair to anybody. But think about it. The Raiders, as I said months before, are a team that has a limited amount of staff. They're trying to build a stadium and run a football team at the same time. They don't have enough extra hands. And now we see this reflected in a comment by none other than UNLV President Len Jessup. It's like he's saying, oh, those Raiders, they just don't have enough time to deal with this. Maybe, or, you know, you could read between those lines and say that he thinks that maybe it's just not that important to them. Okay? And as Crawford says, it's a sign that UNLV is just looking after themselves. And James McClendon says, hey, Zinster, is there trouble in the desert? Yep, there's trouble in the desert. Raider Kuko says, hi, Zinny. Seems the New York Giants don't know what they're doing by benching Eli Manning. And yeah, I couldn't agree more. Horrible, horrible, horrible way to treat an NFL legend and a certain first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, you can't argue that. That's Eli Manning. I mean, just can't argue that, okay? having said all that, I think Geno Smith will do well. And Geno Smith's a better quarterback than people give him credit for. He's grown up a lot, and I think he's growing up faster than people realize. Someone in Atlanta radio here referred to him as a bum, which I think was really inappropriate to say the least. The Giants could surprise everyone. This is for the Raiders. This is a trap game because you're like, oh, you know, the game is a wash. Forget it. Eli's not playing. The Giants are throwing in the towel, but you have to play them. And because you have Geno coming in and then Davis Webb, you don't know what kind of garbage they're going to come up with, because the one thing the Giants know is that the Raiders are fighting for the playoffs. And so here they come in the role of potential spoiler. Between now and kickoff, hey, anything can happen. And so for the Raiders, this really is a trap game. It's going to be quite interesting. Crawford says regarding the UNLV situation, Adeson strikes again. And then he writes, if Geno Smith carves up the Raiders defense, oh boy, there will be fireworks in Alameda. Yeah. It really is a trap game. And of course, you know, we're going to see, you know, it's a trap game because you can make an argument that, hey, maybe they bring in Davis Webb and it becomes this exchange of quarterbacks, neither of which would be as effective as Eli Manning, right? And so it becomes another Broncos game. Well, instead of putting in the guy that can actually win for you, right? You put in a guy you want to give a look at, Paxton Lynch, but you're not certain he's going to win for you. Maybe one day, but you just want to take a look at him right now. That sounds like the Giants. That sounds like you have the Broncos doing that and now the Giants doing it. Which to the Raiders, they have to be saying, yeah, okay? I mean, I'm saying, yeah, okay? So, but then the onus is really on the Raiders to deliver. Don't you agree? Don't you agree? Joseph Bensman says, evening, Zinni. I'm so outraged as a Giants fan. I no longer think my Giants will be a spoiler this weekend or for the rest of the year due to this awful move by McAdoo. And he says, just such a slap in the face to Eli, who is the last honorable Giant left on the team, and a slap in the face to us true Giants fans. McAdoo and Reese better be gone. They are pathetic. And Joseph Bensman has spoken. And I agree with you, Joseph. It's really a horrible decision. And it reminds me of, I'd love to hear what some of my friends who've covered the NFL draft from the perspective of the New York Giants think. I know they've got a lot to say about this. And Crawford 371 says, Joseph, there's no such thing as loyalty. Eli is Giants royalty. Yep. And loyalty it's funny how loyalty and royalty rhyme. James McClendon says, it looks like the Raiders to Vegas thing could possibly implode on itself any day now. What do you think, Zinster? I think that, again, this is there are clear structural problems with the deal. And this is something that we're going to have to see play out over time. We have the fact that it's taken 670 days for UNLV and the Raiders to reach an agreement. We have the bond issue problems. We have the fact now that Las Vegas is having trouble bringing in tourists post the tragedy. And I encourage people to go to Vegas. I'll be there for UNLV and support Las Vegas because the city doesn't need to go through what has been foisted upon it. It's very sad. Now, okay, but it is upon us, and it is impacting tourism, and in turn, that tourism rate impacts the hotel tax revenues from a tax rate that's already, as I've identified, smaller than it needs to be at 88/100 of 1%. So you have UNLV wondering if they can afford to be in the stadium. Those are just two problems I've outlined. Of course, there's the community benefits problem and community benefits agreement problem. You know, these are problems. These are not, and they're unresolved. And it's November 28th, and as President Jessup said, hey, the Raiders are basically running their football team right now, and there's not a lot of time to do these things. So, you know, that's what he wrote. That's what he said. That's what he said to the Review-Journal. Wow. All right. Hey, John Marks, how are you doing? And as Crawford very smartly pointed out, and the tax bill just adds to the poison pill. Another rhyme, bill, pill. Joseph Binsman says, you don't have to tell me that, Crawford. I watched my favorite player, Patrick Union, years ago get traded away after 15 outstanding years leading my Knicks. Not the first time, still wrong though. Yeah, or look at how Peyton Manning was treated by the Colts, right? So, hey, John Marks, I just spent this entire I just spent this entire time talking about that at all. In fact, so what I encourage you to do is read the text in the description, because the text version is, or it should be, excuse me, it's not. Let me correct that right now. Let me correct that right now. Me and my big mouth, okay? Give me one moment. And copy and paste. Oops, excuse me. Right. Okay, let me take this. Oh, excuse me, just making some changes around here. Okay, and putting that up there. Pushing this down here. And putting that there. Okay. And then taking this, sounds like I'm, you know, operating on something, doesn't it? Taking this, putting it there, putting it this, and putting it there, and there. Okay, now I save changes, and we are good. Okay, now John Marks, if you wait 30 seconds from now, I'll give you the thumbs up, and then go to the description, okay? You can read the text of what I opened up this with, okay? And it's all there for your edification. It's there. So John Marks and others, you click on the description, you can read the text that I read out loud to start this short, will be admittedly short live stream, okay? So, and I gotta change this to sports. Oops. Did I see gambling? No, I didn't. Okay, got it. All right. There that is. All right. Monetization, basic info, monetization, view on watch page. And we're back. Okay, yeah. So it's there, John Marks. And for everyone else, again, it's just in the description area of this post, all right? So, yeah, John Marks, you called it, it was a fake article from the LA Journal Review, and Crawford says, yeah, thank you for catching that, John Marks, much appreciated. And James McClendon writes, he says, what the NFL did fast tracks the vote to Vegas. They seem to allow Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft strong arm. And he said, Crawford says, another NFL owners were suckered by Jerry Jones in approving this deal. And now look how this looks now. More bad blood coming at the next meeting. Yep. And, oh, by the way, Kuko reminds us of how Jordan was treated by the Bulls. Yep. And Joseph Binsman says, Eli Manning is nothing but a man of class, a true gentleman, and we no longer deserve him. Should have known this day was coming after we treated Coughlin the same way. Would love to see Eli be a Jacksonville Jaguar. Crawford says, James, it was mostly Jerry Jones that spearheaded the vote. That's true. And glad you saw it, John Marks. Let's see here. And I'm asked, am I excited for the Trump tax cuts? No. I mean, I'm not excited for the tax cuts overall. So, I mean, who would be? Because they impact the... I mean, look, the Affordable Care Act and health care should not have been in it. But something else, too. That's the Senate version. The House version doesn't have that. So once the Senate version's voted on, they'll produce a compromise bill in the middle, and maybe we can get some sense out of it. But, you know, what I find ridiculous is this whole Republicans tax cut, Democrats don't thing. We really need a value-added tax that would allow us to give subsidies to companies so that they can maintain a better than living wage payment structure for many Americans and also pay for great health care. I mean, we can redistribute wealth properly. We just don't. European countries have a value-added tax. We don't have one. And we're basically trying to put a lot of the load of running government on the backs of poor and the middle class. And that's just stupid. It's, you know, just stupid. Let's let some people say, well, the value-added tax is regressive, but it doesn't have to be. Yeah, Jonas, the VAT. And Porter says Trump wants to get rid of it too. John Mark says, I know it's off topic with net neutrality vote coming on December 15th. And yeah, I'm going to have a series on that one too. Hey folks, it's 12:28 and I'm going to have to curb this one because I need to get up earlier than I normally do. And because normally I go up until like 1:30, right? But this one I need to cut short. My apologies. But next time, this is what's happening over the next two shows, okay? Wednesday night, we're going to talk about the Raiders, Giants situation, NFL news updates, right? Then Thursday, I've got Laurent Marquand, my special guest, to talk about his new movie, American Jedi. So we're starting that at 8:30, okay, Pacific, 11:30 Eastern. So that's how it lays out. And I'm going to start this stream tomorrow earlier than I started tonight. I'm going to aim for 8:30. Okay, let's try to get back on the 8:30 tip and make people like Octavio Arias happy. So anyway, yeah. So anyway, so that's what's going on, and we'll talk more about net neutrality. In fact, I may try to get a guest on to talk about it. But folks, I've got to go. Okay, I'm gonna go to bed, but I will see everybody tomorrow. Sorry for the short show, only 28 minutes, but you know, family matters, right? So all right, love, peace, and soul, Crawford. See you all. I'll be back tomorrow. Normal show time, okay? Thank you. Peace. Thank you all who just arrived. My apologies. We'll be back. We'll be back, okay? See you, John Marks, Joseph Bensman, Big Eightful, everybody. Peace. Watch horror films. Keep America strong. It would be cool to get Kane Hodder on here, wouldn't it? All right. I'll see you all. Okay, good night. Good night. Wax on, wax off. Wax on, wax. Hey Barry, I've got the shirt, by the way. I'm back to wearing the shirt. See, ta-da! There's the shirt. didn't want to wear out. I didn't want to wear the shirt out. Good night, everybody. Good night, everybody. I'll see you. All right. See ya. I will get some sleep. Thank you.